The all-new Growing Boulder shop is now live and it's game on. No matter what sport fuels your next chapter, now you can rep Team GB in style. From pickleball to parkour, swimming to skiing, bowling to basketball, we've got bold, attitude-packed t-shirts for every weekend warrior. Because it's not about age, it's about attitude, and you've got plenty of that. Gear up now at shop.growingboulder.com. There's a Zen proverb that says knowledge is learning something every day. Wisdom is letting go of something every day. In our business, it's called editing. We rarely come up with anything that's too short. We always have to trim for time or length, and the end result is almost always better. It's leaner, it's cleaner, it's more on point. But it's never easy. Editing has been called the process of killing your darlings. Successful aging is also a process of editing. It's doing less of what doesn't bring you joy and more of what does. You know those people that don't inspire, encourage, or support you? The ones who are always complaining? Do some editing. You know that garage full of stuff you never use? Do some editing. You know those out-of-style clothes in your closet that no longer fit? Do some editing. You don't have to go full-blown Marie Kondo, but you're old enough to know what does not spark joy. You know that 10K that hurts your knees? Let it go. You know that favorite food that now causes havoc with your stomach? Let it go. And while you're letting go of things, let go of self-doubt and anger and grudges and guilt and envy, jealousy, resentment, and regret. You know that desire to be somebody you're really not? Let it go. Do some life editing. Let go of your attachment to anything that no longer brings value to your life, and you'll be amazed at the space you create for the people, the places, and the things that do.
You know, I was sitting behind the blocks right before my last race at those Olympic Games. It was a relay, and we were trying to figure out, my teammates and I were trying to figure out how many miles of swimming I had done to reach this point where my race lasted about 49 seconds. In fact, I won the 100 freestyle in 49.8. But in those 8 years, I swam about 24,000 miles, give or take a mile or two. That is the circumference of the globe at the equator. But I would swim every single mile all over again to get that opportunity to become an Olympian.
Show the world that you're living boldly with the brand new Growing Boulder shop. Discover our latest line of inspiring t-shirts that prove it's not about age, it's about attitude. From hats and mugs to water bottles, hoodies, long sleeves, books, and more, there's something bold for everyone. Together, we're smashing stereotypes and inspiring happy, healthy living. Join the revolution at shop.growingboulder.com.
My belief is we were all put on this earth for a very specific purpose. I didn't start swimming until I was 17 years old. I was a junior in high school when I went out for my high school swim team. The reason why I went out for high school swimming? Because I failed in 5 other sports. I tried out for football, baseball, basketball, golf, and tennis, and I got cut in every one of them. But I never gave up. I know it's a huge cliche, I get it, but you can never give up on your dreams. I am living proof that dreams do come true, because I was not afraid to keep going and to keep pressing and to find my dream and my passion. People always ask me, what's the number one reason why you want a gold medal? I mean, if you could pick one reason, obviously believing in myself was a big part of it, but I tell them every time it's passion. It's because I love swimming. I feel more comfortable in the water than I actually do on land.
It's been a productive few weeks for Joe Johnston. At 81 years old, he's won the U.S. National Championship and the World Championship in pole vaulting and the World Championship in the 60-meter hurdles. How does it feel to be sitting here in the aftermath of winning multiple national championships and multiple world championships?
It feels pretty good to be the best 80-year-old pole vaulter in the world. It was just fun. It's just fun. I do it because I can't think anything I'd rather do unless it'd be hang gliding or jumping off the mountain in Chamonix, but it's just fun.
When we last visited Joe, he was 67.
By golly, that one was good.
And spent most days having fun in the Joe Dome, a handmade pole barn where he pursued his passion for pole vaulting. Fast forward 14 years, and the old Joe Dome has been replaced with the new Joe Dome, a 5,000 square foot addition that he added onto his home in his late 70s.
And I said, I think I could borrow that much money, and so we got a big mortgage, and here it is, and this is my dream come true.
Joe's enjoying the front page coverage in his local newspaper, but only because it inspires the thousands of former students he taught and coached for decades in Apopka, Florida. He doesn't compete for the acclaim, and he doesn't do it for the medals. What are you going to do with these national championship, world championship medals?
I'm probably going to put them in that jar over there, and when we had a meet here, there's 6 or 8 ladies and kids. And I said, when you finish the meet, go over and get you 2 or 3 of those and take them home with you. So we'll put them in the jar and let some kids have them. They like them.
If he's not vaulting or hurdling himself, Joe is coaching boys and girls of all ages for free, his unique way of welcoming and serving anyone and everyone. Why do you do that, and what do you get out of it?
I get everything out of it. That's, as a teacher, that's what you do. You try to help kids grow up to be good adults, and it warms your heart. You feel like you're worth something on this earth. It's a good feeling.
The most important lesson Joe teaches these days is resilience. We were videotaping you 10 minutes ago. You hit a hurdle. You fell down. There was a moment we thought you might have broken something, but within 5 minutes you were back up hurdling again. So why did you get back up and go again?
I don't know why, Mark. I just do. I ain't stopping. I'm going to attack. I may get splattered. I've been splattered before. I'll get up again and go again. Hurdles is life, because you've got to go. I want to get from here to there faster than everybody else. Oh, wait, we got these things in the way here. There's barriers that we have to overcome, just like life. So if you can learn to negotiate those barriers, you can be successful.
He's already looking for the next thing.
One. Bring it on.
Joe's wife, Janet, is his biggest fan and enjoys her front row seat to the force that is Joe Johnston.
He's contagious, his energy, and people want to do that, and he does inspire people. And I always feel like I need to find the next thing, or we need to walk, or we need to swim, or every day he'll be like, let's go swimming in the rain and the thunder. We say we're having more fun than we can handle lots of days. We need parents to say, this is too much.
As he's aged, Joe's learned to appreciate a story that his uncle once shared.
He says, yeah, man, some days I get up, I feel like I could go outside and whoop 2 big bear. He said, time I get to the door, I got to sit down. I said, oh, I got to watch out for that if that's what's coming. So I'm watching out for that. I get up in the morning and I'm going to go. If you keep moving, you can keep moving.
I think a lot of 81-year-olds think their life is behind them. I sense that you don't feel that.
Oh, no, I'm going to go all the way to the end. I'm taking it wide open all the way to the end.
The Joe Dome is Joe's happy place, an indoor playground that fuels his passion and provides his purpose. 5,000 square feet filled with hope, inspiration, and possibility.
So live long enough, your dreams can come true.
Most of us have extremely limiting beliefs when it comes to growing older. That's a problem because our belief system controls our behavior and to a large degree determines our future. Our challenge is made even more difficult by the fact that we're also battling social norms, which are even more powerful than personal beliefs at shaping our behavior. Social norms are the unwritten rules about how we're supposed to act. They're the conformity police providing constant cues for age-appropriate behavior. Even if we believe that aging in a certain way is possible, we likely won't act on that belief if it violates social norms. Surprisingly, those who enforce social norms on older people are most often older people themselves. Peer pressure never retires nor expires. It typically grows stronger as we age. Most of our peers not only want us to conform, they need us to conform. When we don't, we challenge their belief systems and their behaviors, which makes them uncomfortable. Growing Bolder is about breaking nearly all of the social norms that are related to aging, because there is no such thing as age-appropriate behavior. It's about removing the accepted limits of possibility, which becomes more difficult as we grow older.
Stephanie Walsh got a late start to her dancing career, not starting formal lessons until she was nearly 30.
As a child, we didn't really have funds for classes and things. It was just one of those things, like, I always loved to dance. Whenever there was any kind of music involved, I was there dancing, but nothing formal.
So what would you say inspired you to begin dancing at 27?
My daughter at that time. I wanted her to dance because it's really what I wanted. So I put her in ballet, and she hated it. And we took her out of ballet, and I started taking classes right away, and it just kind of progressed from there.
Stephanie realized then what many of us don't, that it's never too late to rekindle a passion from childhood.
I think everybody has to have a passion in their life. You know, there's a saying, a life without passion is a life half lived, and it's always been my passion. And then I started performing up in Seattle. Nothing major. I did have a couple of professional things, but I was never really a good enough dancer to get like star. I was always chorus, or because I wasn't afraid to perform, I'd get the character parts.
Let's go! Afraid to perform? Not this lady. Your Instagram fan page says that you want to inspire the world to dance like no one is watching.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Well, you know, I think a lot of people have a hang-up about movement and dance. And I always tell people, can you clap your hands to music? Can you clap on beat? I said, then you can dance. Then you can dance. But a lot of people, they're afraid to try. When you say the word dance, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't do that. But yes, you can. You can.
You can tell by watching her smile that Stephanie uses dance for fun. But it's also a great workout and a little bit therapeutic.
But I think something specific that she is, you know, too humble to speak about is a lot of her, a lot of things she's gone through that have kind of built her to be, you know, how and who she is today. Miss Stephanie is a rock. She is a solid foundation, a role model to look up to.
Miss Stephanie has persevered through countless hardships. Her mother died in a car accident when she was just 5 years old. Her only daughter was tragically killed at the age of 22. She raised a son who struggled with kidney disease, and her first husband passed away from health complications after 25 years of marriage. Stephanie also struggled through physical challenges, including 3 hip replacements, a back surgery, and osteoarthritis in both of her knees.
You know something, Amy, we all have challenges in life. And my first person I turn to is my maker, you know, when there's a challenge. And he's helped me through so many things. And I've had really good support. I've had good support from my family and my friends when those things happen. And you never get over them, but you manage to move on and keep going. We have to. Dance has really helped me get through a lot of things in my life. I always had that to turn to when I needed a lift.
Deja Renee founded the club that Stephanie dances with in Central Florida. She believes dance is the secret to living a longer life.
I saw a light in Miss Stephanie that just cannot be dimmed. It cannot be hidden. It cannot be, it's a gift that should be shared around the world.
That's why Deja created an Instagram account for Miss Stephanie. In a matter of weeks, the videos went viral with millions of views.
I walked in the door one day and Kiki said, "She probably doesn't even know." And I said, "Know what?" And she said, "Honey, you went viral." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's nice." But it's not the reason that I dance.
Why do you think it went viral? Why that video?
Well, honestly, this is the reason. It's because I'm a senior. You don't usually see someone my age doing like hip hop and moving like that.
You see her and she dances with her entire body. She dances with her face. She dances with emotions.
She literally inspires all of us how, age is just a number.
I couldn't have imagined a better person getting this much exposure and attention. She definitely is worth being spread all around for the world to see.
I've had young ladies who are like much younger than me. They said, "Well, I would go and do that if I lost weight or I did this." I said, "No." I said, "Go and do it now." Not all of us are blessed to have our vocation and our avocation be the same thing. Find the thing that really floats your boat and just do it. Yeah, don't let anybody naysay you, because you never know until you try. I'm gonna keep on dancing as long as I can. I told my husband, honey, I would love to die on the dance floor. Just like when I'm out dancing, just over we go.
Oh my goodness. Oh, she got it.
2020 has been, to put it mildly, a major challenge for individuals, for families, for businesses, for countries, unlike anything most of us have ever experienced before. The pandemic has revealed a common enemy that demands a community response. Community is defined as any group of people living in the same place or sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. And as the world continues to shrink, our community continues to grow, because it has to. COVID-19 is a painful but important reminder that we, every human being alive, are all part of the same community. We have shared interests that are vital to our future. We have shared enemies that we can't defeat alone. New novel viruses, diseases of all kinds, polluted water, global warming, toxic air, poverty, lack of education, and more. These things don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, rich or poor, urban or rural, black, white, Asian, Latino, or Native American. They don't care if you live in South Dakota, South Carolina, or South Korea, and neither should we. They threaten all of our families, all of our livelihoods, and all of our futures, and yet we remain divided every day of every year by social constructs like racism and sexism and ageism. The DNA of every human being alive is 99.99% identical. That's exactly why we're now facing this global threat, and why we continue to face new ones in the future. We are all the same. We have the same basic needs, desires, and challenges. And occasionally, as we are now, we're reminded just how small this planet is and how interconnected we all are. Tim Kelly is one of the world's premier portrait photographers. He could be coasting into retirement, one masterful composition at a time. Instead, he's finishing what has been a lifelong dream, releasing a solo album, the second of his life and his first in over 50 years.
It's all or nothing. It's black or white.
Kelly was in a pop band at age 12 and had his first studio recording session at 13. He quickly learned that what he loved most about music was not performing it, but producing it.
But when that tape machine came to my room, it was all over. This was where I was going.
He recorded his debut album at age 19 and got a little radio play, but no big break. Fortunately, he had something to fall back on. If a guitar wasn't in his hands, a camera was, and he not only knew how to use it, he knew how to make money with it.
Started right out the gate making a lot of money, just by selling 8x10s to, school kids, sports figures, and the cheerleader that liked the quarterback. I take his picture, I make her print, sell it to her, and literally by the time I was a senior in high school, I had the nicest car in the parking lot. It was just selling 8x10s.
Making music took a back seat as Kelly's reputation as a world-class portrait artist grew.
This piece of art will be respected by anybody that doesn't even know who you are, your kids are, whatever. It is something that people must walk up to, and that's because of the detail. All those things make the viewer want to study it, and that's what makes it art. It's pretty much flawless, it's timeless, and it's gonna last.
What didn't last were Kelly's joints. In his mid-30s, he was diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis.
And they said, well, we want to start replacing your knuckles with plastic, and we want to start fusing your feet together, your feet. I was like, 35 years old. And I'm like, no, I don't think so,
Ironically, his father was crippled by the same disease at the same age and miraculously was healed overnight.
One day, he came out of the shower and all of his giant knees and his hands that didn't move were healed.
For more than 2 years, Kelly walked with a cane, at times barely able to get around, but eventually he too was miraculously healed. In 1996, he built a bigger home music studio, took on an occasional production project for others, and began working on his second album. But once again, major health setbacks intervened. Mitzi, his wife of 36 years, fought a 4-year battle with cancer before passing away in 2016. At the same time, he suffered a mild stroke that permanently paralyzed and then closed his vocal cords. For years, he struggled to breathe.
Then at one time, it was like, I can't breathe anymore, and the ambulance took me away.
Surgeons performed an emergency tracheotomy, allowing him to breathe and almost to sing.
I know you, but you love me. And sometimes it's hard for me to see the love you have for me.
He fell in love with and married Laura Nelson, another singer. With half a voice, his arthritis gone, and a new life partner, he once again committed himself to finishing his second album, a calling he couldn't ignore.
I had to do it because songs were given me, the ability to put them down was given to me, the ability to pay musicians was there.
A huge Beatles fan, Kelly mastered his album at Abbey Road Studios in London. He describes the sound as a brand new throwback to the 70s.
It has that kind of feel to it, that it's pop. It's guitar-driven, piano-driven, and that's the genre it would fit. It's 100% real music, just like my portraits are 100% real. There's no synthesizers, sequencers, samples, nothing in it. It's just pure musicianship.
Through the laughter and the tears, I must go on.
50 years after his debut album, at age 70, he's realized his lifelong dream. His story is one of passion and persistence, and the moral of his story is one we can all learn from.
When trials come, you have to stand into the headwind of it. You gotta look at the victory, not look at your circumstances. So you rise above the circumstances and say, I am gonna be whole, I'm gonna be better, I'll work hard to get past this.
It's all or nothing. There ain't no line.
Tim Kelly is claiming victory. His new faith-based album, Shadows and Light, is available online, and with photography and music fans worldwide, he's hoping for critical and commercial success.
Maybe enough of them will take the leap, and spend $20 or whatever. But it doesn't matter as much as the fact that it's done, that the goal has been met, the finish line has been met, and now I can move on to the next thing.
So, what is the next thing?
I can say to this day, as I would have 10, 20, and 30 years ago, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know if I want to be a really good photographer, portrait artist, but I also want to make music. Just doing the very best I can all the time, knowing anything I make wants to live on. I don't do any throwaway work. I guess that's it,
And I want so much to tell them all how much you
There's an interesting change underway in the news media right now. For years, the older demographic has been all but ignored. Now, news and stories about you are beginning to pop up everywhere. But news and stories for you are still few and far between. So, what's the difference? Well, About You is a disconnect. It's still news produced for the highly desirable 18 to 49 demographic. It's subtle positioning that puts us in kind of a demographic zoo in which they can acknowledge the beast without having to actually confront it. They fool themselves into thinking they're recognizing us, but ask the lion in the zoo what he thinks of his accommodations. The problem is that news organizations, major networks, and most advertisers don't know how to target older customers without losing younger customers. They're afraid that anything for grandpa or grandma will be perceived as uncool. But you and I know that coolness has nothing to do with age. Positive images of older adults make everyone feel better about the days ahead and attract the attention of consumers of all ages. Today on What's Next.
1 minute spent of being vigorous can earn you 4 minutes of lifespan back.
Build your brain around purpose. Optimize cognitive activity around social activities.
You're going to raise the leg up. You're going to hold for about 3 to 5 seconds, then lower the leg. And by doing this exercise, it will really help you to improve your balance.
Hello and welcome into a fresh episode of Growing Boulder's What's Next, where we are changing lives by showing that it's never too late to make the rest of your life the best of your life. At Growing Boulder, we believe that every breath at every age has value and it's filled with possibility. Doesn't really matter if you're 18 or 80, every day is another chance to say yes. Yes to opportunity, to try new things, to find purpose in your life, and do the things that we love with the people that we love. Of course, we all would like to live a long and happy life, but just how do we get there? Well, a good place to start is with Mike Studer's 5 Pillars of Health. Studer is a professor, a neurophysical therapist, he's a researcher, a geriatric rehabilitation expert, a falls prevention guru, and he's the author of The Brain That Chooses Itself. Here's some of my recent interview with Mike Studer. Your book is organized around 5 keys, 5 pillars, call them what you will, to extending our health span. And those 5 keys, Mike, are physical activity, nutrition, sleep, social connection, and novel experiences. How important is physical activity to maintaining a health span as we age?
A lot of people think, well, physical activity, that means exercise. That means I've got to have a gym membership. I've got to have weights. So physical activity can feel like purposeful volunteering, can feel like childcare and pushing a stroller, taking your dog for a walk, and physical activity right there. Point number 1 is it doesn't have to be exercise. Point number 2, very quickly, is it can be brief and intense. small exercise snacks, or vigorous intermittent lifestyle physical activity, 30 seconds of moving fast. So 1 minute spent of being vigorous can earn you 4 minutes of lifespan back. And some studies are upwards of 7 minutes. Being active in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s actually is an investment for your 70s and 80s. And studies are now showing you can delay or mitigate the onset of many of the degenerative diseases by investing in intensive exercise during those decades.
One of the 5 keys to increasing our own health span is nutrition. What should we be eating? What are we doing wrong, especially as we age, in terms of what we put into our body?
The number one thing is eating too many ultra-processed foods. Eating simple and eating diverse is much healthier. Keep it simple, keep it real, limit artificial sugars. If I were to eat 2,000 calories per day in the form of 200 calories per hour times 10 hours, that's much less healthy than to eat 3 separate meals of about 666 calories, because you need to give your cells time to respirate. You need to actually cause your metabolism to go up and to go down. And you need to actually allow your blood sugar to be able to provide you with energy rather than to feed it constantly and just to be grazing throughout the day.
Let's move on to sleep if we can, because that is also something that's on everybody's list as being critically important for all of us as we age.
The 4 main pillars appear to be QQRT. This is from the work of Dr. Matthew Walker. Quality, quantity, regularity, and time. So if I want to actually get the best sleep, I need to probably go to sleep and wake up within about 30 to 45 minutes of the same time of night and morning every day, because melatonin, growth hormone, and the cycles of sleep that we naturally go through are depending on us to actually go through that at that same circadian rhythm every single night. Now let's talk about naps. It actually releases this burden of fatigue, and you actually get a boost in cognitive performance without borrowing against your sleep time.
All right, Dr. Mike Studer, let's move on to the 4th of your 5 key principles for maximizing our health span, and that is social connection, which is obviously something more and more people are talking about post-pandemic. Why is social connection so important to us? What does it do for us?
Dr. Vivek Murthy, of all the contributions that he has made as a 2-term U.S. Surgeon General, maybe hasn't made any more prolific of a contribution than to say that unintentional solitude, loneliness that you didn't choose, is equal to smoking about 15 cigarettes per day. So that is from a physical standpoint, mental health standpoint, cognitive standpoint. Loneliness that we're not choosing is very unhealthy. So social connectedness that we choose counters that. Social connectedness, even with a pet or another loved one, significant other, does many things that loneliness would be raising. And that is those social connections, pet and significant other, or just having a network of people that are in your tribe, lowers blood pressure and actually improves mood, dopamine, oxytocin opportunities, as well as serotonin. So we're improving mental health, reducing systolic blood pressure, and also that is really kind of a system-wide beneficial. So social connectedness helps with cognitive performance, physical performance. It also helps us manage stressful life situations. Now, you'll see many studies that say if an individual goes through a stressful situation and they're lonely, that causes catastrophic mental health changes. If an individual goes through the same stressful situation And in fact, they know they have a support structure. They can buffer it. They can move through.
So let's move into to that fifth one, novel experiences. Doing things that are not easy is in many cases good for us. Are they not, Mike?
We create an innovative brain when we have challenged ourselves to go through novel experiences. So we get overall lower blood pressure, we get increased stimulation in the brain, cognitive stimulation, dopamine hits when we try something hard. Guess what, Mark? Even if we don't completely succeed, I'm going to try to run this half marathon under an hour and a half time. I get a dopamine hit, which is healthy to my brain for even the pursuit of doing that. So hard things could be, I'm in a sauna for 25 minutes. I'm actually cold plunging in the back of in your backyard in winter in, let's say 45 to 51 degree water for just minutes at a time. You can introduce opportunities that create novelty and create uncomfort and create dopaminergic situations.
Mike Studer covered a whole lot of ground there, so let's recap quickly some of his key points from the 5 pillars. Number 1, you got to find a way to stay active. Of course, it doesn't have to be hardcore exercise. Walking the dog, cleaning the house, or gardening will get the job done. Eat less sugar. Focus on a simple diet with a variety of healthy proteins, fruits, and vegetables. Maintain a consistent sleep schedule. And if you need a nap during the day, take it because it's good for you. Stay socially connected because social isolation is just as bad for you as smoking is. And try hard things and try new things because they're good for you. The only limitations in life are those that we set for ourselves.
Sleep is that important for cleansing your brain. There is no other cleanse. Sleep is the ultimate cleanse, which means invest in your sleep.
Welcome back inside What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton. We're talking today about the keys to a longer, happier life, and who doesn't want some of that? Of course, one of the most important keys is maintaining a healthy brain, and the key to that is lifestyle, something we all have control over, which is why I was anxious to speak with one of the world's most respected brain health doctors, researchers, and scientists, Dr. Dean Shirzai. He's the co-director of the renowned Alzheimer's Prevention Program at Loma Linda University.
A good place to start is actually where you need to start. If you have sleep apnea, that's where you start. Sleep apnea has been shown to significantly increase the risk of dementia. If your deficit is in nutrition, that's where you start. But if your deficit is across the board, actually, I would say start with exercise. And by exercise, I don't mean go run the marathon. Starts with a brisk walk or even a slow walk, 20 minutes, and slowly build it. Just that has been shown to significantly reduce your chance of dementia. Now, all of them have an effect, including what we call neuro. It's a little self-serving acronym that we've coined and we've trademarked. It's N for nutrition, E for exercise, U for unwind, good stress and bad stress, R for restorative sleep, and fifth one, O, is optimizing mental activity. Continually challenge your brain. That's the only thing that grows the connections between your neurons in the order of 30,000 per neuron. So where you start is where your deficit is, where the opportunity lies, and where you want to go. So that.
Share with us, if you will, 3, 4, 5 things that you think we can all do starting today, to improve our lifestyle, to diminish the possibility that we will, in fact, have cognitive decline.
Increase your greens. Studies show that people who ate more greens, spinach and other greens, dark leafy greens, their brains were 11 years younger. Reduce your saturated fat, reduce your simple sugars. But in a measurable way, move throughout the day. Watch 2 of your shows while standing up and doing steps in place. Not fast, just steps or just standing. Do a few squats. Leg strength meant bigger brains. You don't have to go to a gym. Do mini squats while watching a show. Bigger legs protect you in many ways. Stress management. Build life around good stress. Don't get lazy. Take classes. Learn new musical instrument. Learn new music. Learn to dance. And reduce the stressors by identifying them and then systematically reducing them. Sleep. Invest in your sleep. There's a reason that you're knocked out, paralyzed for 8 hours for tigers, bears, and all these animals to do whatever they wanted to you, because sleep is that important for cleansing your brain. There is no other cleanse. Sleep is the ultimate cleanse, which means invest in your sleep, create a positive space, lower the sound, lower the light, don't have a lot of light right before sleep. And lastly, build your brain around purpose. Optimize cognitive activity around social activities such as volunteering, joining groups, learning, taking classes with groups, learning a musical instrument, joining bands, or just learning new things, but in a social setting. That's powerful. That makes the connection. That creates idea density. And the combination of just these few things is so powerful.
Some great advice from the Brain Doc. Dean Shirzai and Mike Studer are both saying a lot of the same things in different ways. It's not rocket science, but it is neuroscience, and it's 100% lifestyle. So don't delay. Start today. The power is in your hands. A lesson we learn every day at Growing Bolder by sharing the stories of ordinary people who are living extraordinary lives. If you want to hear more from Dr. Shirzai, you can check out our full interview on the Growing Bolder podcast, available now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more.
You're going to raise the leg up. You're going to hold for about 3 to 5 seconds, then lower the leg. And by doing this exercise, it will really help you to improve your balance.
Welcome back to Growing Bolder's What's Next. We're talking the talk today as it relates to leading a longer, healthier life. And now it's time to walk the walk. We recently produced a fitness series with certified personal trainer Trish Walsh, sharing some simple daily exercises we can all do to prevent falls in our future. So it's time to stand up, get off the couch, and follow along with Trish as she demonstrates a side leg raise.
I'm going to show you how to do a side leg raise, which is a great exercise to help you improve your balance. You're going to use a stable surface like a kitchen counter or a kitchen chair. I'm going to use this bench to demonstrate. Your feet should be shoulder width apart, nice and flat. You're going to use your hands here to balance. You're going to raise the leg up. You're going to hold for about 3 to 5 seconds, then lower the leg. We're going to do that again, holding for about 3 to 5 seconds. I would start out with about 5 reps on each leg. So same on the opposite here, raise and hold for about 3 to 5 seconds just to test that balance, just like so. Bring your feet back to a neutral position so you can rest. And I would recommend doing that 3 times a week. And by doing this exercise, it will really help you to improve your balance. Do it, you're gonna feel great about it.
An easy tip from Trish that we can all incorporate into our daily routines. You can view our entire Bolder Balance series now with several more exercises to prevent falls at growingbolder.com. The biggest predictor of a fall is a history of falling. You'll be surprised, though, to learn that the second biggest predictor of a fall is a fear of falling. Let's check back in with neurophysical therapist Mike Studer to learn why.
So fear, number one, is a cognitive distractor. It's an unhealthy psychological rumination that says, I had better be careful here. I might fall. What if I don't lift my right foot up enough? And, this is very clear to all of your viewers and listeners that if your mind is preoccupied with the ruminating thoughts of fear, that distraction in and of itself will cause your performance to go down. And we all have that tendency for a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see, I might fall, I might fall, I might fall. You see there, I did fall. That also, fear is a leading predictor because it does something else. It creates a cycle known as fear avoidant behavior, which causes people to be less physically active, which causes them to lose the very resources that they would need to have to prevent a fall.
I don't want to add to your fear of falling by reminding you that falls are the leading cause of injury and injury death among older adults. But I do want to remind you that falls are preventable. They're not inevitable. You can reduce your risk of falls and lessen the severity of injury if you do fall by exercising, by doing balance exercises like the one that Trish Walsh shared, and taking care of your overall health. All right, time now for our bold social clip of the week, which comes from our own Growing Bolder Reels on Instagram. Here's Dr. Bill Thomas with words of wisdom when it comes to finding purpose in your life.
Really, the only identifiable purpose in life is to become the person you were meant to be. And it just doesn't matter what that is, I think. It matters that you take on the challenge. And where I think a lot of people go wrong and miss the turn and experience a lot of unhappiness is when they pine for some version of themselves that is long gone and wasn't the real them anyway. It was an illusion. So I'm all in favor of disillusionment, because it's better to live life with fewer illusions. You're more authentic and it's more real what you experience.
Welcome back to Growing Boulder's What's Next. Be sure to follow Growing Boulder on all of our social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, to keep up with all of our latest stories, podcasts, and articles. And of course, to weigh in on the Your Take question of the week. This time we ask, what is one way you have improved your health this year that you're most proud of? Maureen says she lost 30 pounds by walking, weightlifting, and eating well. Dawn is reducing highly processed foods and says it's not always easy, but she is trying new things. Ross is improving her social health and says she's spending more time with caring people. And how about Teddy, who shared that he was struggling with type 2 diabetes and obesity, but says, when I retired, I made the decision to cut out sugar, get off my backside, and get healthy. 6 months later, I'm down 72 pounds. My blood sugar and blood pressure are normal, and I'm determined to take this forward for the rest of my life. You know, I saw so many videos and have read so many articles recently about the health benefits of cold plunges that I decided to give it a try. And I found out I love it. Okay, I like it. Actually, I hate it, but I love the feeling afterwards. In addition to improving circulation and reducing inflammation, it gives you energy, mental clarity, and it improves your mood by triggering the release of neurotransmitters which are associated with feelings of happiness, alertness, and well-being. At the same time, it reduces stress hormones like cortisol. Now, admittedly, it's not for everyone, but there are endless ways to stimulate your body and your mind. And of course, there's endless excuses not to. As we learned today, the secrets to happy, healthy, and active longevity are found in the daily lifestyle choices that we all choose to make. We'll see you next time. Today on What's Next.
Wow, I don't know how much longer I'm going to live, but if I'm going to live longer, I'm going to make my life count.
Well, I just think that you don't have to give up. It's as simple as that. You know, there are things that any one of us can do. I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, there are things you can do and things that can excite you.
And I think that curiosity is one of the best qualities you can have in your life.
Hello and welcome to What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton. You know, Growing Bolder is all about challenging the outdated and damaging narratives on aging. And today we're going to take it a step further. We're diving into what it really means to grow older, and not just in our 60s and 70s, but into our 80s and 90s. I mean, think about it. Chances are you do know someone in their 90s. After all, it's the fastest growing demographic in the U.S. I can't tell you how many men and women that we've interviewed who say their 90s have actually been the greatest decade of their life. Of course, it's not that way for everyone over 90, and let's be honest, most don't make it to 90. But the fact that an increasing number do and many are thoroughly enjoying it should be encouragement for everyone of any age. Now, just as we've redefined what it means to be 60 or 70, we also have the power to reshape what life looks like at 80 and beyond. And that doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention. And by now, you should know that the keys to happy and healthy and active longevity, they're simple. We need to move and fuel our bodies. We need to engage our minds. We need to nurture our spirits and stay socially connected. And all of those 90-year-olds, those rock stars of aging who told us it was the best decade of their life, well, they all had one thing in common that stands out: purpose, a reason to get up in the morning, a fire that keeps burning. So, what exactly is purpose? Why is it so important, and how can we find our own? There may be no better person in the entire world to answer those questions than Richard Leiter. Richard is the global guru on purpose. He helps company executives and ordinary people like you and me discover their purpose. He's the author of 12 books, including the best-selling landmark publication, The Power of Purpose. I recently interviewed Richard to learn more about the power of purpose, and he was quick to point out that your purpose doesn't have to be something grandiose. There are countless small and meaningful ways for all of us to find, to experience, and to share the benefits of purpose every day.
Well, the big P is a noble purpose, like doing something for a cause or saving the planet in certain ways. But that's good. And that's a good thing. But the little P is when you wake up. So when I get up in the morning, what can I do to make a difference in just one person's life today? And so when I woke up this morning, that's what I asked myself. What can I do to make a difference in one person's life? And I look and I don't know, but I know what my calendar looks like, et cetera. And so the little P purpose, there are 1,440 purpose moments in a day. And so those are just 1 minutes where you can make a difference in one person's life. As Viktor Frankl said in the concentration camps, he said, this may not have saved people's lives, but he said it saved their souls in certain ways that they could get up in the morning and give someone else a kind word, give somebody else a crust of bread, give somebody else a slurp of soup, give somebody else hope for the future, in which he did. And so, with each of us, there's no reason that we can't, no matter what our circumstances are. When people say, well, I don't know what my purpose is, I said, act purposefully, make a difference in other people's life, and you will ultimately understand what purposeful living and the big P purpose is all about.
Richard, I'm guessing that, over the decades when you were interviewed, when people wrote articles about you, it was in your 40s and 50s and 60s, it was just Richard Leiter,
right,
global pioneer, Richard Leiter. Now, in the same sentence, and I did it myself in the introduction today, in the same sentence, it's Richard Leiter, 80 years old. Your age has become connected to your mission. Are you energized by that? Are you bothered by that? Does it make your message more powerful because you're speaking now from a different position than you ever have?
God, you ask good questions. I love talking to you. 1 year ago, had a health challenge, and I was in the hospital for basically a week. And I thought I would survive, and I did. But we need to look at the end in order to look at the current. And my message became even more relevant to me personally. I said to myself, wow, I don't know how much longer I'm going to live, but if I'm going to live longer, I'm going to make my life count. So my message is for myself is, how am I going to make my life count today and the next day and the next day? And I'm not doing it because I want to be famous or I want to be, whatever. I'm doing it because it's in our DNA to contribute. We want, as human beings, to contribute to life. That is who we are as human beings, and that's in our DNA. And sometimes it takes a trigger or a health crisis or something for us to realize that.
That is one of the sad yet avoidable tragedies of life, waiting for a major health challenge or some other tragic trigger to make us focus on what really matters. Memento mori is the Latin saying, which translated means, remember, you die. It's not meant to be depressing. It's simply a reminder to make the most of today because tomorrow is not guaranteed. So, take a tip from the global guru of purpose and ask yourself how you can make a difference in someone's life today. I'll bet you get an answer right away. That's how easy it is to find purpose.
I read the script and I thought, I can't wait to get on that scooter.
Welcome back to What's Next. You know, when you think about life in your 90s, do you think about trying new things? You should. And lucky for us, June Squibb does. Squibb is a true legend of both stage and screen with a career that spans over 6 decades, including an Oscar nomination for her work in Nebraska alongside Bruce Dern. But she'd never had a starring role in a film until now. At 95 years old, she's enjoying success as the title character in the action comedy Thelma, which is based upon a true story of a woman who is scammed out of $10,000. She's determined to get it back, and she does, despite her family's concerns. I asked June what she thought when she first read the script and envisioned herself playing the title role and literally carrying an entire film for the first time in her career.
I was excited just reading the script. I knew immediately that I wanted to do it. And there was just no question in my mind that I was going to do this film. When I just started reading it, it was so wonderful. Well, this whole thing about aging, which of course I'm facing all the time, every day. And I just felt that Josh had done such a beautiful job telling the story of this woman.
You know, we love your performance by any measure, but I have to tell you, one of the things I really love about you is back to what you just said. You read the film, or you read the script at 94 years old, and you couldn't wait to do it. Why were you not afraid? Because most older people, beyond 70 or 80 or 90, are afraid to do almost anything.
I guess I've just never been afraid of very much, I think. And I've been working. I was working probably or just before when I read that script. So, and I worked after it. So it's just what I do, I guess. I never think of it in terms of what is there to fear. And I never think of aging, as that big of a problem, to be honest. I mean, you don't move as well, and that I'm very aware of. But other than that, I've got it up here pretty much. And, I could talk to people, I can read still, I could watch television.
And you're doing such a good thing because, you're proving to people that you can still live with passion and energy and enthusiasm and be fearless. And speaking of being fearless, you did your own stunts in this film. And I don't want people to dismiss this or laugh about it. The stunts that I'm referring to are driving the scooter, but there's 30-year-old actors who wouldn't drive a scooter in a movie. Was that ever an issue with the producers of this film? Should we let June do her stunts or not?
Very much. No, I read the script and I thought, I can't wait to get on that scooter. To me, it was just the most fun in the world. And they were worried to death, and they told me, now don't worry about the film, because when you shoot, you'll take something up to a certain point, and then the stunt woman will take over. And I just kept thinking, well, this is ridiculous. I can do this. And I proved to them that I could drive the scooter. And so then they let me do that, and then they started letting me do things on it. And then the bedrolls and all of that. And I kept saying, I think I can do this. And it ended up with me really, truly doing almost all of it.
So many older adults, June, are unhappy or, have just given up, because we believe that life after 60 or 70 and certainly after 90, barely worth living. What do you say to that? How do you, because you obviously are filled with energy and enthusiasm.
Well, I just think that you don't have to give up. It's as simple as that. There are things that any one of us can do. I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, there are things you can do and things that can excite you. But I think that's such an individual choice.
I know you've touched on some of this, but what's the moral of the story? What's the big takeaway about life in general from someone who is 95 years old and obviously still enjoying every day?
I think the one thing that I realize now is that I sometimes worried too much about what other people thought. And other actresses have mentioned this. I think it's a big thing when you're an actress, an actor, and trying to start out. And that's hard because you constantly have the pressure of, you're wrong and somebody else is right. And you can't listen to it. I think that you just simply, I think you find out who you are as much as you can, and then you live that life and be proud of it. Even with all the negatives, God knows I made tremendous mistakes in my career, in my life. But you get over them, you pass over them, and you go on and live.
June is now proud to be called the world's oldest stunt woman. And even at 95, she's not resting on her laurels. She's playing the lead in the upcoming Eleanor the Great, which is the directorial debut of Scarlett Johansson.
When your mind is working, you can't get old.
Now, my grandparents were lovely people, but when they reached 65, they were pretty well waiting for the batteries to wear out. They were at the end of their life. And my parents were kind of yesterday's version of old people. Retirement was a vacation. Boomers are coming along. There's a lot of us. We've changed industries every step of the way. We've changed culture, especially the boomer women. They're a power group. We're looking at 50, 55, 60, and we're not wanting to be old. We're wanting to keep learning. We're wanting to fall in love again. We're wanting to try new things. We're wanting to be entrepreneurs. And so I think you're seeing not only is this huge demographic push going on, more and more and more longer lived people, but there's a whole new attitude coming along, and I think you guys have got your finger on the pulse.
Welcome back to What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton. Today we're talking about redefining what growing older looks like. Changing not just how we talk about it, but how we imagine it. We've talked about the importance of purpose, of passion, and enthusiasm. And another essential attribute is curiosity. And I don't think anyone embodied that more than Ruth Hamilton. Ruth had an amazing life, and she lived to be 109. And when she was 109, we helped her become the world's oldest video blogger because she was fascinated by the internet and she was anxious to share her wisdom with the world. Ruth filed dozens of video blogs on growingbolder.com, making her also the oldest to be a member of a social networking website. She remained passionately curious until the very end.
I think it's wonderful. And I keep asking, how much longer? I want to stay here. I want to see who the next president's going to be and what's going on in schools. And I'm very curious. And I think that curiosity is one of the best qualities you can have in your life, is to be curious about everything. Even when I wash dishes, I look at the plate and the bottom of the plate, and I see where it came from. And I keep thinking, oh, how wonderful. And where is that place? And so how can you get old? When your mind is working, you can't get old. And it's so wonderful to wish that on every people. All the people in the world, they don't need to feel sad. They don't have to hurt. They can know who God is. They can say a prayer once in a while. And I think even when you say, God help me, I think that happens. So that's my sermon for today. And now I'm going to take up the collection.
Well, Ruth was definitely one of a kind, ahead of her time, but she is a look into the future, a future that AI already seems to have embraced. For better or for worse, artificial intelligence is answering all sorts of questions these days, so we asked ChatGPT to describe a senior or someone in their 70s or 80s, and the answer was surprising.
Imagine a vibrant 78-year-old with a lifetime of wisdom etched into their expressive face. Their silver hair, whether neatly combed or freely tousled by the wind, reflects decades of experience as both triumphs and challenges. Their eyes, sharp and full of depth, sparkle with the kind of knowledge that only comes from a life well lived. They move with purpose, whether it's a brisk walk in the park, a slow but steady stride, or even a graceful dance step from their youth. Their hands, weathered yet strong, have held newborns, built careers, comforted loved ones, and written countless stories. They speak with a voice that carries authority and warmth, each word a testament to the lessons they've learned. They're not defined by their age but by their actions, still chasing passions, embracing new ideas, and defying stereotypes about what it means to be in your 70s or 80s. They might be learning to paint, traveling solo, mentoring younger generations, or conquering a new fitness challenge. Age is just a number, their spirit remains ageless.
Well, that was kind of fun. Maybe we are making progress after all. That's a vision we should all aspire to. And we shouldn't be afraid to pursue our passion, which brings us to our bold social clip of the week, Strong Grandma.
My first meet, I was very nervous, scared spitless. My name is Catherine Keene. I am 95 and a world record deadlifter. Thank you.
There we go. Easy.
In competition, I have won every event that I have entered. It's been very easy for me, simply because no one my age was doing it. About it. I really am.
Okay, last one. Deep breath. Chest up, chest up.
Wish me luck.
Welcome back to What's Next. Are you following Growing Bolder on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook? We've got inspiring stories of individuals just like you. Folks who are taking risks, trying new things, continuing to grow, to give, and to live with passion and purpose. So head on over to Facebook and answer our Your Take question. What's one thing outside your comfort zone that you're ready to try? Ross McPhail says, failing. That's the attitude, Ross. Don't be afraid to try difficult things. Yvonne Alexander is ready to write a book. Go get it, Yvonne. Meredith Seidel says she did it last June. She bought a house on her own. Congrats, Meredith. And Helen says, not giving a rip what anyone else thinks, just going with my outrageous impulses. Welcome to the age of liberation, Helen. Today we talked about passion, purpose, and curiosity. Things we can all develop one small act at a time. And this is why that's important, because the pursuit of happiness is universal. It's what we're all supposedly doing, and yet research shows that nearly a third of all Americans have been diagnosed with depression at some point. That's because we're looking for happiness in all the wrong places. Meaning is what brings us joy. Authentic relationships, helping others, brings us joy. Letting go of the need to feel happy is one of the keys to actually finding happiness. We'll see you next time. Today on What's Next.
Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, all of these risks decrease precipitously if you get up, assume the vertical, and start moving. Just get out there and do that.
Having a conversation is the most complex cognitive operation for the brain that we know of. It's more complicated than brain surgery,
imagination and creativity and all those things. There's a certain childlike attitude about life, some wonder that I think you've got to keep alive.
Hello and welcome into Growing Boulder's What's Next? I'm Mark Middleton. This is the show that helps you reimagine your future and actually gives you the action steps to start living that future today. Remember this, it's not about age, it's about attitude, and we're here to give you that Growing Bolder attitude. On today's show, we'll be taking a holistic approach to embracing your later years. It's about body, mind, and spirit, so let's start with building a bolder body. When it comes to physical activity, more is usually better, but a little can be a lot. So just take that first step, because that can lead to many more steps, just like it did for Becky Lonergan. Becky lives in the Villages, Florida, and she changed her life when she began walking in her community during the pandemic. She loves seeing the homes in her neighborhood and others out with their pets and families, and the more she walked, the more she wanted to walk. And soon she made it her goal to walk past every single home in the Villages, the world's largest 50-plus community, about 57 square miles. That's larger than Manhattan. And with each stroll she took, Lonergan was improving her longevity. If walking isn't for you, no problem. Just getting outside can provide multiple life-enhancing benefits. We've shared stories of gardeners who stay active just by caring for their plants, surfers and paddle boarders who keep their mind and body active in the water. You could pick up yoga or Tai Chi, bird watching or photography, or even try painting outdoors like Christiane Palpant did when she toured the country in her renovated van. Even if you can't get outside on a regular basis and you don't have a garden or an ocean nearby, there are countless ways to get creative and keep your body in motion. After her husband passed away, Virginia Farino picked up an old stationary bike and pedaled her way to health and happiness. And by the age of 90, she had ridden more than 50,000 miles indoor, all while listening to her beloved classical music. And one of our favorite ways to recommend getting and staying active is organized sports. We've seen firsthand how participating in the National Senior Games changes lives. Whether it's bowling or basketball, swimming or softball, track and field, volleyball or pickleball, they've got it all. And don't think you have to be an accomplished athlete. You just have to engage at your own level to enjoy the many rewards more important than winning medals, the community, the camaraderie, the support, encouragement, and inspiration of men and women of all abilities from age 50 to over 100. For more on the games and the important role that they can play in our overall health, I recently chatted with physician, scientist, author, and athlete, Dr. Pamela Peeke.
Look, it's not even exercise, it's physical activity. Just get up and move, for crying out loud. A lot of times the E word, turns people off. It's like, oh my God, I got to join the Olympics. Well, no, just get up and move. You want to grow a bigger brain? You actually grow new neural networks up there. Who doesn't want a bigger brain as you get older? And then the other piece of it is heart disease, diabetes, cancer. All of these risks decrease precipitously if you get up, assume the vertical, and start moving. Just get out there and do that. I was part of a study that I helped pull together with the American College of Sports Medicine. 10 years ago, what we did was we looked at fitness age. We found that the average age of the people in the National Senior Games was 68 years of age, but their fitness age was actually 25 years younger. So if you want to chop off a quarter of a century, hello, fountain of youth, then all you have to do is get up and rock and roll.
Give us, if you will, the Dr. Peeke prescription for happy, healthy, and active aging as we leave. Write us a script. Tell us what we need to do right away.
The first thing I want you to do is get up and move. That's it. Assume the vertical. All right. And then I want you to do this consistently. I never said the word perfectly. I said consistently. Try to do the best you can for every single day that you have. Number 3, always challenge your body and your mind. And when you're competing and when you're out there challenging your body, you're definitely challenging your mind at exactly the same time. So it's like the most perfect win-win. Watch what you're eating. Now, come on now. All right. Clean it up. Do something radical. Remember that 4-letter word, cook? Okay. COOK. Just saying. And then finally, would you stop, especially if you're a woman? All right. Because I could speak for this, for all you little ovary people out there, my ovarian squad. All right. We take care of everyone who comes within 100 feet of us, and then we forget about ourselves. So self is not a 4-letter word. Self is something to be honored. And you got to take care of yourself. At the same time, the more, the healthier you get, and the more energized you are by doing the physical activity and getting networked in with your wonderful social communities. Well, guess what? Right? Then it strengthens the ability to live that life of meaning and purpose.
You can hear more from Dr. Peak, as well as meet senior athletes you can relate to and be inspired by in our 30-minute streaming special, All Together Now, Share the Senior Games Movement. It's available on growingbolder.com and on our YouTube channel now. You heard Dr. Peak mention diet and nutrition, which are, of course, also important keys to our physical health. You want a real-life example? This is Rogelio Munoz at the age of 101, sharp as a tack and active as ever, which he attributed to his vegetarian diet. Rogelio would start each and every day with a shake made of walnuts, soy milk, and 6 to 8 fruits, which he recommended to others wanting to live a long and healthy life just like he did. Speaking of nutrition, let's head back to the Villages, the world's largest community of active 50-plus adults, a community that has embraced the importance of nutrition in a big way by building their own state-of-the-art indoor hydroponic farming system to grow fresh fruits, vegetables, microgreens, and more to supply their community. A life-enhancing benefit that goes hand in hand with the golf courses, swimming pools, pickleball courts, and thousands of social clubs that exist throughout the community. So, to cap this all off, here are your keys to building and maintaining a bolder body. Stay active, eat a healthy diet, get plenty of quality sleep, stay hydrated, drink lots of water, and avoid smoking and excess alcohol. That's it. Pretty much what Mom preached back in the day. All right, stay with us because still ahead, we're helping you grow bolder in both mind and spirit.
Having a conversation is the most complex cognitive operation for the brain that we know of. It's more complicated than brain surgery.
Welcome back inside What's Next as we share examples of ordinary people that are living extraordinary lives. Their stories, their examples can help us all grow bolder in body, mind, and spirit. All right, so far today we've already covered our body, so let's move inward now and focus on building a bolder brain. Multiple studies have proven that of all our personality traits, the only one with significant life-extending capabilities is creativity. And don't say I'm not creative, because you are. You're creative when you cook a new recipe, when you decorate your home, you take a photograph, or you pick out an outfit for the day. We've shared countless stories of musicians, photographers, dancers, writers, and painters who kept their minds sharp and their lives full through their creative activities. This is Nadia Nedzill, who found her purpose in creating original art drawings for others. Even at the age of 99, she would make free drawings for anyone who asked, often from photos of family members or pets, and she told us that's what gave her life meaning. Now, if arts aren't your thing, consider the example of Stephen Jepson, a guy who believes that the key to a healthy mind is to never stop playing. Stephen leaps across rocks in his backyard, he throws knives, he juggles, he picks up things with his feet, and he's constantly inventing games to keep his mind active and his body moving. It turns out we can build a bolder brain simply by staying socially connected. In fact, many experts say simple conversation is the most advanced and beneficial mental activity of all, because it requires active listening, language processing, empathy, and adapting to social context, all while navigating real-time interactions with another person. So find friends in your community however you can and strike up a conversation. We recently spoke with Daniel Levitin, an award-winning neuroscientist and author, who shared the vital importance of conversations, relationships, and purpose to our overall health.
Don't retire. That, for a number of reasons that I go into in the book and have in longer form interviews, is really the death of health, brain and bodily health for most people. Now, if you do have to retire, you should retire from something to something else. Again, it could be volunteerism. It doesn't really matter. But having a sense of purpose, having to be at a certain place at a certain time, having to interact with other people. What you and I are doing right now, having a conversation, gets to the number 2 piece of advice, which is keep meeting new people. Having a conversation is the most complex cognitive operation for the brain that we know of. It's more complicated than brain surgery. I can tell you that because I teach brain surgeons is part of my teaching. And then the third piece is practice gratitude. If you're happy with what you have and not focused on what you lack, you'll be happy.
Some great advice from Daniel Levitin, and you probably heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. A lack of social activity has been proven to be as harmful to us as smoking or obesity, so stay connected. And if you want even more brain health tips, be sure to check out our Bolder Brain series with Dr. Cody Sipe, available now on growingbolder.com.
Imagination and creativity and all those things. There's a certain childlike attitude about life, some wonder. I think you've got to keep alive.
Welcome back to What's Next as we turn our attention now to our spiritual health as we age. And when we talk about becoming more spiritual, we're not talking about becoming more religious, not that there's anything wrong with that. Spiritual simply refers to a focus on finding meaning and purpose in life, a personal connection to something that's larger than ourselves. It's not about any particular system of beliefs or specific rituals and teachings to follow. Living with meaning and purpose, guided by our own personal values, gives us a framework to navigate the challenges of life with peace and inner strength. Mindful movement exercises like Tai Chi and yoga can do wonders for your overall well-being. Growing Bolder was proud to share the story of Bernice Bates, who was once the Guinness World Record holder for the oldest yoga instructor in the world in her late 90s. She shared her gifts with others and helped students of all ages embrace their spirituality. Creative writing was a way for Belinda Cypress to calm her mind and feed her soul while she was grieving the loss of her husband on their 45th wedding anniversary. This award-winning poet channeled her feelings into her work, and she told Growing Bolder that she believes the key to happiness is to learn to put others ahead of yourself. You know, many others nurture their spirit by connecting with nature, like Charles Dasher does on the water and on biking trails.
It's a God experience, the great outdoors. And that's truly what it's been for me. I find myself grounded here, I guess would be, that I can go be in the ocean, that I can go ride my mountain bike through the trails and just, I get really in the moment and forget about that stuff. Get quiet enough to know yourself.
Wow.
To understand yourself and to be your own best friend.
The key to building a bolder spirit is simply slowing down and being mindful. It's about recognizing and appreciating life's little miracles. It's about realizing that less is more and a little can be a lot. It's about staying open to opportunity. And as legendary actor and entertainer Dick Van Dyke told us, it's about never losing a childlike attitude.
I've always been a little childlike. Walt Disney and I both used to say we are children searching for our inner adult. What's the biblical admonition about, putting aside childish things. I think they meant, self-centeredness and things like that. I don't think they meant imagination and creativity and all those things. There's a certain childlike attitude about life, some wonder that I think you've got to keep alive.
When looking to build a healthier spirit as you age, there are countless benefits in religious communities too, no matter which walk of life you come from. In fact, we recently created a streaming special that we called Growing Boulder's Interfaith Spiritual Roundtable, in which I sat down with religious leaders, a reverend, a Buddhist, an imam, and a rabbi, all to explore the ways that various religious groups can impact our lives and how we all can learn to understand one another better and move past our differences to a better future. You can watch it now on growingboulder.com. All right, time now for our bold social clip of the week, which comes from Growing Boulder's Instagram Reels. This week's clip is from an interview that I did with Michio Kaku, renowned physicist and writer on the meaning of life.
It's too easy for us to wait for a guru from the mountaintop to come down from the heavens and say, this is the meaning of life. No, I believe you have to struggle to attain meaning. In other words, we create our own meaning. It's the struggle. It's the struggle to find meaning for ourselves. That is the meaning of life. Not to be given it to us. No, the meaning of life has no meaning if it's simply given to us. That defeats the whole purpose. The whole purpose is to struggle. The whole purpose is the struggle to find that meaning for you. And so I think that everybody, in some sense, has a destiny. We're all given certain abilities and we're given certain avenues by which we can fulfill ourselves. So it's too easy to simply have it handed down. We have to work for it. So the purpose of life is the struggle to find that meaning of life.
Hi, I'm Rowdy Gaines, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. If you want to get better, you have to step outside your comfort zone because you can't improve anything by staying the same. Take a risk. It doesn't have to be a big risk. Just try something new. When I started swimming competitively, swimmers were allowed one false start. A second one got you disqualified. And I'd been DQ'd a few times because of false starts, and I knew I had to overcome that. My coach and I developed a new start called the track start. It was completely different and totally new to swimming. And I was really nervous the first time I did it, but it worked. And after a few times, it became second nature and other swimmers adopted it. It's now the standard start for world-class swimmers everywhere. Getting out of your comfort zone is scary, but it's exhilarating. Take that risk. Don't be afraid to take that next step towards success.
Welcome back to Growing Boulder's What's Next. Be sure to follow us on all of our social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, to catch up with all things Growing Boulder. Each week on our Facebook page, we ask our more than 1 million followers to weigh in on the Your Take question of the week. Follow us so you can add your 2 cents in the comments, and who knows, maybe we'll share them right here. This week we ask, what are you most looking forward to accomplishing in the near future? Yvonne Alexander says, I have a goal to visit all 7 continents. I booked a tour to Antarctica in December for my birthday. This will complete my goal. Bon voyage, Yvonne. Lori says she's looking forward to planting this year's garden. Seymour's excited for his growing family and being a grandparent for a second time. And how about Arletty, who's looking forward to learning how to create meaningful, enduring relationships and find a real friend or two. Great goals. I think as we age, what many of us consider to be accomplishments changes. It's less about monetary success or personal recognition. We begin to see success in what seem to be smaller accomplishments, but are in fact bigger and more profound. It's the kind of success we're all capable of achieving in our own way. The kind of success that we've talked about today, finding purpose, helping others, growing our empathy and compassion, becoming more spiritual, more mindful, engaging with others, becoming a better listener and encourager. Those are the real accomplishments and the real keys to growing bolder. We'll see you next time.